Hello and welcome to the 31st episode. Usually I confirm that before we start. I didn't do that, but I'm pretty confident this is the 31st episode of the Gochuucast. And today we have once again decided on a topic with zero point 0.5 seconds remaining on the clock. We're going to be talking about manga on the anime podcast.
It is me first, by the way.
Today we are Is the Order a manga podcast?
Yes.
Oh, true. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Yeah. that is actually not our name, but it is our name for today.
It is our name for today.
I mean, this is a manga podcast, basically.
I gotta click on the manga list this time. Not the
PK,
anime list.
You read a manga? Somebody's mad about your recent manga reading habits.
Yeah, Daniel is really upset about me recently reading a manga because currently there's this little known anime that most people haven't heard about this season yet called Bochi the Rock.
Yeah, what could that be?
It's when they become a rock,
been watching it. It's kind of under the radar currently. There are 30 chapters of Bochi the Rock out.
But there's probably like 30 translated. I think it's like over that.
Yes, there's 30 translated. There's like double the content technically out, but in English there's 30 translated. And I may or may not have read everything that was translated in English.
When you said he would
double, yeah, which is about double the content of what is currently out for reference. I think the last episode covered up to chapters 15 or 16.
I see.
Which is crazy because it's also not like a long manga. There's so much anime original content in Bochi the Rock, and it's actually some of the best content in Bochi the Rock is anime original. The manga is still really good, but this is a fun anime to start with because I do think that the Bochi the Rock anime has taken the manga content and really elevated it.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of anime that I feel actually do that probably, but with the 4 coma, you have to like really
you
have to take your liberties, because you can't just straight adapt that. Before this, I'm trying to think, because I know 2 manga that were animes that I've watched. We had Senryu Girl, which is a 4 coma, and then My Senpai is Annoying is also, I believe, 4. I don't know if it's 4 coma or it has like 4-page chapters.
4 coma. Yeah.
Either way. Yeah, those are anime I've watched, and I've read. I need to finish Senryu Girl. I'm 160 out of 188 chapters in, and I just haven't continued it. It's for no reason.
Is it the one where she's like deaf and like?
No. Senryu Girl is, she can talk, but she feels more comfortable like writing it in haikus, basically.
Okay. Right. Okay.
That's how
it's a type of haiku.
Tokyo Revengers is for me. I'm like right at the last arc of Tokyo Revengers, and I just haven't read it yet.
We don't talk about the Tokyo Revengers ending. We don't talk about Tokyo Revengers, actually, but the ending definitely...
Tokyo Averagers?
It was Tokyo Averagers, and then the last arc was so bad.
Averagers, yeah.
It went from...
Of the manga that I have read and rated, it is currently my lowest rated manga, it's still an 84, which is not bad, but I haven't read the last arc, and that might drop it a little bit.
Last arc's so fucking bad. Oh my lord. But yeah, no, Tokyo Revengers is one of the manga of all time.
Of course.
Yeah,
it had to come out like that.
It had to come out. So yeah, it's just tough. Season 2 comes out next season. Not looking forward to watching that.
I won't be watching it. Not because it's bad, but just because...
You've read it already?
Yeah, I've read it already. I didn't think that the Tokyo Revengers anime was particularly that great of an adaptation.
It's one of those anime where it's like staticky action. It's kind of lame.
Yeah, and I thought the censorship stuff was kind of weird.
Well, and there's an uncensored version.
Yeah, it kind of lightened up, and there is an uncensored version, but I don't know. Some of that stuff. Plus, it's also on Disney Plus, which is like the real kicker.
Dude, when I saw it got announced for Disney Plus, I'm like, oh my god, it's still the most perfect, like... Because on Twitter, when the ending released, there were so many compilations of the fucking Mickey Mouse Clubhouse theme song. Someone put the Mickey Mouse, like, opening visuals or whatever, but they put the fucking Tokyo Revengers song over it instead. The fucking Crybaby, the opening. I'm like, oh my god, it's genius.
Kind of accurate.
It's so funny.
I haven't read the last arc, but I know some of the things about the conclusion of the story that I don't know how to feel. Some like really major things that I won't go over in this, but
no spoilers.
things that are like I don't know how to feel about them because they're the type of things that need to be written really well for me to buy into. Put it that way.
Yeah, I was never particularly bought into the series to begin with. Can you hear my dog, by the way? She's going off right now. I can't tell if the mic's picking her up. Okay.
There's like a tiny bit in the background, but I have to listen.
I can't.
I'll close my door in a second then. But yeah, no, there's like some things that happened, like, we're not gonna get them it'd probably be like season 3 or some shit, I think. I can't fucking remember. Tokyo Avengers is like such a blur.
I really like. And then there was a lot that like I didn't buy into.
There's some stuff I'm like, okay, maybe this could be never mind. But like,
I really liked the main antagonist in Tokyo Revengers until the conclusion.
Dude, his motivation is so damn dumb. I hate that shit so much.
Yes, exactly. And I don't know. I enjoyed him up until his motivations and up until like his character arc is finished.
I think
like the last like 10-15 chapters of all that where you learn all about all that stuff just like tanked the character for me.
Yeah. It was bad, and then some stuff that happens in like the final arc made it even worse, even though it hadn't been touched in like X amount of time.
They like brought stuff back. Oh no.
There's stuff that they were doing with like the explanation of the powers was so bad because I liken it to like how My Hero treated like One for All, and like how there is this power that you've had for X amount of time, and you think you know everything about it, but then the main character, for no reason, is like, but I have more, and it's like, but why? And it's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, whatever, fuck this. I didn't care about the series anyway.
Because you needed to have more, Smile.
They didn't even need more. They could have fucking just made him not a bitch, and he wouldn't have needed his new power. It was so dumb. Whatever.
Yeah, but like, okay, I think explaining powers in like any anime, I feel like there's only a limit to what you can do. I don't know. It's just like you can always come up with some reason, but like
I liken it to kind of like endings to a series or something. Like, I don't need I don't need this grand explanation unless like you're really setting up a lot. I just need something that exists. And you don't just, it's not that deep, don't make it deeper than it needs to be, I guess is like one way to put it. Like Remake Our Life explained like the time travel aspect of that show in like a way that I'm like, okay, that's fucking stupid, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, your manga type of thing.
Yeah, but then Tokyo Revengers is like, alright, well, let's give the backstory on this power that makes no fucking sense and make it even worse. And then not explain some of the extra stuff that they threw in there, and I'm like, okay, whatever.
So what are some?
Yeah. Go ahead. You had a question.
I was gonna say, so what are some mangas? So Tokyo Revengers recently. So this is what made me think of this. But what are some things that you have actually finished in full that you like really enjoyed or are really noteworthy?
Oh, my first like ever thing. First, like, what do you want to call it? I guess like Japanese like media. I don't know what you want to call it. Was Bloom Into You. It's like this Yuri manga. There's an anime too. That was like my first thing. I finished it in like 2 days. It was all right. It was. I don't want to say one of the manga of all time. It's cool, but I don't think the story was like all that super like insane or whatever. But that's like. One of the ones that was like
it's a romance. You're usually not going to find like too much in depth.
Yeah, I mean, but I finished it and it was good. So that was noteworthy for being my first.
I know a lot of people like. I need to watch the anime, but I do.
I haven't seen the anime. I don't have any interest in seeing it, just mostly because I've seen the manga. I should wonder, like how many people like read an entire manga and then like want to watch the anime after. I feel like that happens. Obviously,
I feel like I only do the opposite.
You do the opposite?
Yeah, I do the opposite.
I watch a really good
Fair enough,
anime
fair
and
enough.
I want to watch, or I want to read the manga. But if I read a really good manga
Mhm.
and I hear an anime has been announced, then I'm like, well, I already, read that, so
Yeah.
I might check it out and look for like hype moments. But usually, unless it's like a battle shonen, like Fire Force season 3, I'll watch, and like any continuation of Fire Force, I'll watch for like the
Mhm.
hype shonen moments. But I know everything that happens in Fire Force.
Yeah, that same for me. Basically, there is a few manga that I've read, I believe, that have anime that I haven't watched. Maybe not a few, but one of the main ones that I can at least put to my head would be like Boarding School Juliet, which is a romance. It's basically Romeo and Juliet, but not. Is the easiest way to put it. It's got its own. It's like shares like the base premise, but doesn't really like go into like literally just copying the story. I think there's literally a Romeo and Juliet anime though. But Boarding School Juliet has an anime, only one season or whatever, and it looks like it had like decent production quality. I just never watched it. Same thing with We Never Learn. I read that entire manga. I didn't watch the anime though, and I don't think I want to because they actually have like a. We've talked about like the manga had routes or whatever, but the anime actually had a winner, and I didn't like the winner, so I'm not gonna watch that now.
Disappointing ending. Understandable.
Yeah.
I think the show that it's airing right now, or is it maybe just ended? I actually don't know. More Than a Married Couple. I forgot the Japanese name.
Fufukoi or whatever.
Yeah, and I read like maybe I think there's like 60 chapters or something like that in the manga. I don't know.
There's a bit.
Yeah, I read like
16.
25 or 30. 16, you said?
No. I thought you said there were 16. I'm like, you're on Greg.
No, I mean I think there's a lot. But I read like maybe half of it, and I still think I'm ahead of the anime. And I just don't have any interest in watching the anime now because I've like feel like I've read most of it, and I'm satisfied with what I read from the manga. That's like I feel like I agree. I feel like if you read a good manga, then you're like probably less likely to. I don't know. I think it just depends. It also depends on like how satisfied you were with the original thing, right?
Yeah.
I think some of it also has to do with like if the anime is already done, then I'm like, I don't feel like going back and binging this, but like, it's a seasonal that comes out. For example, when Aoyumika's Move came out in summer, and I watched that. Oshinoko is going to air in 2023. I just finished getting through all of that recently. Kubo has its anime next season. So there's stuff that I've read, and it's like if I like it enough and it is getting a new anime, then I'll probably watch it. Unless like the manga like really slaps, then I might go back and watch the anime. But by that point, I'd probably have heard of the anime adaptation already.
Yeah. I think one of the ones also that I'd read was like the quintuplets, the quints.
Yeah, I've read that as well.
Yeah,
The movie just came out recently.
I just don't care to see the anime now. It's like, who cares?
Yeah, no. Quince is a great
It doesn't matter to me.
because, like, I read Quince. It was fine. Best girl won, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, it was just an experience. It specifically like a one-time experience, right? Like I don't need to experience the Quint story again.
Yeah, I watched the first season before reading it, and so it's a bit different for me. Mister doesn't drop anything. Okay. So I had to watch season 2, even if I didn't want to. Though I do think the second studio that took over season 2 in the movie did better than the first one. I didn't know how I was going to feel about studio shift, because people, fucking Twitter does their thing where they're like, "Oh, look at this hyper specific frame. Look how bad that is." And I'm like, it's like literally in between frames or whatever. It doesn't look completely fine, if even better than first season by the time the actual product came out.
It's like let's look how people analyze the Pokemon, the grass or the trees or whatever.
Okay, but in a game, I feel like that's fair. Because that's not like an in-between frame. It's just a fucking floating tree in my video game. There's a complete difference.
True.
Like,
That's true.
Criticizing the technical aspects of a game definitely different than a single frame of an anime.
Yeah. You criticize society, you partake in it. Curious. Yeah.
Curious, yeah. It's a little goofy.
Yeah. I think, also, whether it's like the original or an adaptation also kind of like changes. I don't know. Like for example, I think I mentioned this before. But like for example, the show like Higurashi, it's like originally a visual novel.
Yeah.
And then anime. And then they had a manga. So I've read like the third adaptation, like the manga, right?
Yeah.
But like my reasoning is more like I don't really like gore or like watching it in an anime and like in shows. So just like don't care to see the anime, and I don't like visual novels, so I don't care to play a visual novel. So it's like this is the only form where I can like consume it. So I just kind of have to.
Yeah,
but it's good.
Visual novels are like point and click adventure without the point.
Yeah, I cannot. I'm sorry, I don't have the patience for that, man.
And it's like to experience a visual novel properly, you can't just do one like route.
Oh yeah, you have to do all the other routes, and
you got to do all the routes. That's like I read like to properly experience the Clannad visual novel. It's like you can put like 100 hours into it. I'm like, I don't put 100 hours into a lot of my games. Definitely not going to put into reading.
Yeah,
visual novels are one of the things that I got exposed to the earliest. I feel like.
Really?
Like I started watching a little bit of anime, and I remember watching a lot of different YouTubers, and I think was it Chilled Chaos? I watched a YouTube, I think it was Chilled Chaos, playing Katawa Shoujo. If anyone knows what that is.
I don't know if I do.
It's so familiar. It sounds so familiar.
The only visual novel.
Oh, it's like the one where like they're all like they all have some like disability. Am I thinking the right one? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought, yeah.
It's actually a really nice story.
I've heard it's like good. Yeah.
And that was like my first visual novel experience. And
yeah, I think that's like a really common.
Pretty much my last. I put a lot of hours into that and like read all of the stories and everything like that. But it was just like a lot of hours to do.
It's a lot to take in.
Like yeah, as I started collecting like more means of reading things like light novels and anime and stuff, visual novels kind of became something that was like, this is too much of a chore.
Yeah, some people like look up guides to like get the right like path and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, you could do that. I'm good.
Yeah.
So that's like one of the things where it's like, even if it's like the original source, I'm just not likely to do that. So that's where like manga and anime are like good, just because it allows people to experience the same story, or like it'll never be the same story, whatever. Experience one of the visual novel routes in like another form. I mean, visual novel is just one example, but yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of like light novels that get adapted into manga or whatever. And the problem with those is like there's times where they actually have like pretty good art and such with the manga adaptations of light novels. But the problem is they go so fucking slow. It is insane. Like, I don't know how long. I'm gonna look it up real quick, I guess. But like the Angel Next Door has a what's it called, a manga adaptation. But it's like partway through fucking novel 1.
Oh yeah, I mean,
which is like
light novel mangas are just not. I feel like they're not worth my time. It's better to just go do the light novel because I feel like they get canceled a lot.
What the
fuck? They're just not as good usually.
It's on chapter 9.3. Who the fuck is? Okay, I don't know.
Wait, is it the same illustrator as the person who does it for the?
No.
Different one, just random.
They'll just get someone like you'll see sometimes like. Misfit of Demon King Academy had a manga adaptation of its light novel, but tragically the artist for that manga passed away, and they just they just ended up canceling it.
Oh,
I think something similar happened with 86. It might have just been indefinite hiatus for the manga.
Manga, I'm pretty sure just covered like the anime content and then pee poofed.
I think there was something where like it's on hiatus because of the health of the author or something like that. I don't know, but either way, typically they don't last too long, because that's just not the way the story was meant to be presented, I suppose. They're not that consistent with updates for the most part, I feel like. Because actually, Higehiro, I first read in the manga or whatever before I knew it was a light novel, and then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stop reading the manga or whatever. And then the anime gets announced, and it goes through like the entire series at once. And so now I have no reason to pay attention to it any further. Thankfully, the anime saved my time. Ended up being pretty fucking mid by the end of it because nothing really led to anything, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, no. Definitely not like too big on manga that adapt light novels.
Yeah, I think it just. I mean, yeah, just light novels. They're just like inherently, it's just going to be like long, and you just can't. You can't condense it. Like manga, I think has like I mean, it is literally a comic book, right? So there's like a kind of an expectation that I'm not saying that they can't have a good story. Obviously, it's not even close to true. But it's like there's just kind of a certain level of detail that often has to be missed, and that has to, I guess, be captured by the illustrations more often than not. Whereas like a novel, like can you imagine like I mean you say light novel, but like think about like I'm just giving you like an extreme example here. Let's say like Harry Potter got turned into a comic, which maybe it has, but like 500-page book being adapted into a comic would be like insane. Like it just like one paragraph is like several panels. It's just not possible. So yeah, I agree. Like light novels going to manga is like it's just I think it's just a lot of it's just like kind of a space issue, and like the form of the media just doesn't necessarily translate very well. So now the other way around, maybe I don't know, but you can always add more, right? But
apparently Harry Potter made an appearance in a comic book, but he doesn't have his own.
He made an appearance. Wait, what do you mean?
In Young Justice, whatever the fuck that is.
What?
Oh, is that the
Hello?
It's like
I think Joshua talked about it. It's a super.
I'm looking at the what's it cover for it. It's got Robin on it. I think it's just like the kids of the superheroes and stuff. I see like a nerdy teen Superman or some shit, and like Discount Green Arrow. I think, or it's Green Lantern. I don't know what the fuck though. This bitch is. Yeah, I don't know. It's got Robin and Discount Superman on there, so it's probably like the kids of the Justice League or whatever. But Harry Potter appeared in that apparently. I don't know why, but he did. But anyway, back to manga. Let's see.
Manga that I think everyone should read is Haikyuu manga, but that's like not an original take. I just think the Haikyuu manga is really good.
I'm going to watch the anime eventually.
It's also fair, but the anime has 2 movies coming out, and I don't know how good they're gonna be for the last couple arcs of content because it feels like they might be kind of rushy. So just be ready for the possibility that
it's gonna suck.
Like, Daniel, please read the manga for those arcs.
And I'll say okay, and then never do it.
That's crazy. You lie to him like that? That's messed up.
Yeah, I wouldn't. PK would never lie to me, certainly. Anyway,
yeah, especially not about like reading. A manga,
yeah, not about reading. No, you'd never.
Series.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess are there any manga that you've read? We talked a little bit about stuff that we really liked, and we talk shit on Tokyo Revengers specifically. But are there any manga you've read that you regret reading?
Correct. Wait, did you have one?
The 7 Deadly Sins.
Oh,
well, that one.
Isn't the good part about reading the manga that you can dodge like the garbage animation, or is that?
So yeah, you can dodge the bad animation, but you can't dodge the bad.
Yeah. The first season of 7 Deadly Sins is good, and the first like part of the manga is good. It falls off a cliff, and it is not just the animation. Although I will say the animation ruins what is a pretty decent arc in the manga. completely. Okay. But it's not like that is the only bad thing. The series just completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm trying to think of ones I regret. Ones I regret.
Okay, well, regret, or you just thought it was shit?
Just didn't like.
Yeah.
I have to think about it.
Okay. I feel like the only one know how like the outline of the ending is. But so they introduce Big Bad Boss, and they have like this epic boss fight set up, and he's got phases like in video games and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they just completely just like whip his ass every phase. Like it's not a competition. He is like scary for one chapter, and then the next 3 chapters they just destroy the phase and move on.
I see.
It's like it feels like if you're playing a really hard game and you go back to fight the boss, that was like a mid-level boss and really difficult, but you're in like end game gear. And it was just like really disappointing after setting up all this stuff for the final boss to just kind of be a joke.
Yeah, the manga I regret reading is Domestic Girlfriend.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's a good example. I mean, I haven't read it, but I know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna spend any time on it because we've talked about it probably multiple times. But yeah, it's like almost 300 chapters of just wasted time, basically, for what ended up being a dog water ending. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Yeah.
One manga I read. I've mentioned this before, but maybe I'll save it for the hentai episode. Okay, it was an actual manga.
Are you gonna say Velvet Kiss?
Yeah, dude, that manga is based.
I still have it on my plan, and I will read it at some point. But...
Okay, it's like it has those elements, but it's like it has an actual story. It's not like just like a freaking Kumar Dojin. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's me. I actually like that. I actually like that one. All right. So like, regardless of like how horny or whatever people want to call it, hey, say what you want. That was a good story. All right. So
I mean, you can have horny manga that are good.
It's an element.
Like what happens inside the dungeon. That's a horny manga. That's good.
Yeah, one of my favorite mangas is The World or Her. Does not have an anime. Probably will never get one. But it is rather horny. It's not. If I had to be completely honest, it's not good. But I liked it. I gave it of my manga list. I don't like rating manga because a lot of them are ongoing, and I don't know. I don't have like a benchmark for like good manga, I guess, as much as I do anime. I don't read manga as much. I just gave it a 10 on there. And then I gave Domestic Girlfriend Tokyo Revengers a 1 just to be an asshole. But
it's crazy.
Oh, you know what? Manga I regret reading. I forgot. The only thing I've ever dropped ever is Rent a Girlfriend. 218 chapters in.
218 in? No,
I will not be touching it until it's done.
Oh, and then you'll go back to it. So you're not actually dropping it.
It is a temporary divorce from
that's not dropping.
Something that was never good.
A break.
This is a toxic relationship.
It's never. I'm like I got roped into it, and there's no escaping it. Yeah, it's so fucking bad. Holy shit! I can't wait to just speed run it so I never have to look at it ever again. But yeah, no, it's bad. I don't know how it isn't fucking over yet.
Never look at it again. Yeah.
It's just, yeah. I'm gonna stay far the fuck away from anything written by that motherfucker ever again. I know he's got, he is like the fucking, what's all it? Is 7 a Septagon?
Yes.
He's got the Septagon of incest going on in his next manga, which is honestly.
Oh no. Actually, it's heptagon. Yeah.
A heptagon?
Yeah. That's like that. I'm like 99% sure that's the actual name.
Septagon.
A polygon.
No, it's
7 sides and 7 angles.
It can be called either. It can be
either. Okay. It's a 7-gon.
Septa or hepta. Knowing it's fine.
Expand your vocabulary, Spat.
Okay, no, wait, hold on. It's It'd be a hepta for the 7 sides, and the sept is just for the 7 angles. So it's technically a heptagon. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Sure, does pentagon have an angle based?
Yeah,
surely it does. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know.
Okay,
pentagon is 5.
Well,
yes. I mean, like, does pentagon have like? Because obviously there's the 5 sides, but what does 5 angles mean?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Look, okay, if they all have straight sides, you can't have like 6 sides and 5 angles. That doesn't make any sense. So it's the same thing.
A 2D polygon with 5 sides and 5 angles is called a pentagon. So yeah, they're interchangeable. It doesn't matter. That's fucking stupid. Yes. Why do you have 2 then?
I don't know, dude.
Who thought of this shit? Weren't the Greeks supposed to be like the thinkers? Why are they fucking stupid?
Bad. I don't even know if that's the fault of the English language, but I'm gonna blame it on the English language.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. Yeah, we messed it up.
It is 100% the fault of the Greeks because they had two ways of doing this.
For what it's worth, because we take also fuck the English language.
Yeah, we already said fuck the English language last time.
Yeah, I went on a rant, a linguistics rant. But yeah.
Oh god. So this is an interesting question because I recently have been doing this thing. But what is the threshold for you for starting a manga? Is it like after it has a certain amount of chapters out, or like only if you've started the anime?
It's my mood.
Just like
depends.
That's fair.
Like
doing this thing lately with Shonen Jump, where Shonen Jump has been releasing a lot of shitty new series, and I will just like pick up the first couple chapters of the series to see if it's any good.
Yeah, I don't fuck with that. I let Shonen Jump go through its process because I don't want anything that I like to get fucking shot because they do that to everything.
The problem is they keep shooting things. They haven't shot anything that I like loved yet, but like Super Smartphone could have been pretty good.
Yeah,
things that got shot. Happy. This is off topic, but Love After World Domination ended recently, I'm pretty sure.
Did it get shot or did it just end?
It got hella shot. The author was like not happy about it. That level of shot.
That's so like why would the anime come out and then they shoot it?
Things. I think the anime just didn't help it with sales, is my assumption. It was probably one of those things where they made an anime to try and make it better. And it didn't help, and so they were like, well, GG. But that got shot. And that one kind of hurts, because I liked the anime to that a lot. I haven't read the manga stuff, and I'm sure it'll be disappointing, because the author's building up things for, like, a really good, like, longer series, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, yep, end this shit in, like, 3 chapters. Thank you.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Okay, so you mentioned the manga guy for Rent a Girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't he like unhinged on Twitter?
No, Mars. Mars has much different opinion on this than I do.
He's like a little bit unhinged, but people also take the things that he does
and put them out of context.
Yes, okay, they put them like hell out of it. Like he's still unhinged, but people also will take like him doing like semi-abnormal things that aren't that weird. He
goes on a date with like.
So that's like one of the out of context things.
Okay.
It's like, not exactly what happened, but it's also like I guess it's the way you can interpret it.
Like he'll take like pictures of like a cardboard cutout or whatever of Rent a Girlfriend's main girl, and like put her in like real life situations.
All the time, so I don't get it.
Yeah, and it's like. Okay, so he takes this picture and he's like, "Oh, here's this character in this real world setting," and everyone's like, "Oh, he's what a fucking weirdo." I'm like, that's not that weird. It's like he's just taking goofy photos. Leave the man alone. It's not like he's killing anyone. Like it's not like normal, but it's not. It's just quirky. It's just quirky.
Like,
he's just being quirky.
That are weird about it, but it's also not like what all the headlines say usually.
It's not like he's just using it like a fleshlight or anything. He's taking goofy photos with his cardboard cutout of his character. It's not like it would be weird if someone else got a cardboard cutout of that character and did real life things with them, because they should have no like real emotional attachment to like this cardboard cutout, but it's his own character, his own series. It's probably making him a good amount of money, and he probably gets good likes on those photos, and so he does them. I don't understand. There's one weird thing he did where he's like counting his likes in the fucking thread of his Twitter post, but other than that, like I really don't see why anyone cares.
Yeah, I guess it's just like people looking down. It's like, you know,
his manga's ass, and so people are trying to like poke holes in this guy's existence, I guess. But like, I don't know. I hate his manga, but I will say, who fucking cares? I really don't care what another man does with his cardboard cutout of his own character. I don't know.
Yeah.
As long as he ain't sticking his dick in it, then it doesn't matter.
Well, hey, you don't know that. I don't want to.
He has a wife. He has real life ways of dealing with that.
I trust you only because I don't want to not trust you and believe otherwise. Okay.
I do think that if I watch an anime though that I really like, going back, not on topic necessarily, but away from this topic, if I watch an anime that I really like, it makes me want to read the manga. For me personally, like I'm not the type of person that will just say, "Oh, I'll just wait until they make another season," unless it's like announced immediately and it's like a core away and something, and then I might be like, "Okay, I'll hold out for that."
Yeah, like I was gonna read Shadow's House, and then like much faster than I anticipated, they're like, "All right, season 2." I'm like, "Wait, what?" I guess I'm not reading it.
Yeah, and then you're like, "Well, I guess I'll wait," which is fair, but I do think I'm the type of person that's like, you know, oh, I really liked. What's a good example of this? Lately, most of the stuff that's been coming out. I mean, Bocchi the Rock's a good example, but like, what's a more recent example?
I do this sometimes.
Spy X Family is a pretty good example. I like the Spy X Family like first. I think I watched like 5 episodes before I started reading or something like that. I enjoyed that, and so I was like, well, I guess I'll just go read the manga because it like is out and exists. So why not?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Read more story.
Yeah.
I think if I hadn't ended up reading the light novel for Angel Next Door, I might have started with the anime. So I'm kind of glad I did the light novel, only because I'd heard so much about it. So
yeah,
that's like, it's not manga, but you know, same thing.
Typically, I try to stay away from like the lower chapter things, just because there's like, when you're in like the lower chapter counts, you're not safe, right? You got to get into like the I don't know what the range would be. You got to be like 50 plus probably before you start.
70,000.
I feel like 50 is probably like a safe mark.
To be at least in the where you've been being published for about a year.
Yeah, you got to be in the safe spot.
Blue Box, for example, is at 80 chapters now, and Blue Box is pretty safe. But there was probably a period of time where it was like Blue Box might not necessarily have been a safe manga in Shonen Jump, given how readily Shonen Jump will just kill things.
Yeah, Society of Shonen Jump let anything develop, but I mean, it's just business moment, I guess. Blame people who want to see the 5th rendition, or the 15,000th rendition of Secret Society exists in a world where secret monsters exist, and there's a school where they go kill those monsters or whatever. Anyway,
and that's Cypher Academy, which is
they made another one.
But there is a thing I've started recently, is Cypher Academy, which has 3 chapters out currently on the Shonen Jump everything, and it is not very good, but it feels like the type of thing that might actually be popular.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm not saying keep that on your radars, because I have thought the first 3 chapters were interesting but kind of mid, but it feels like the type of thing that Shonen Jump might just end up being like, yeah, this one we can keep.
Yeah. Some things that I've read like early on, I had a romance phase or whatever, and that's how I found Tonikaku. I was like just desperately searching for romances. I was reading a few things that I'm sure if I read now, I'd be like, yeah, this is fucking stupid. But so there's like an overpopulation of shoujo manga that are all trash, but I've read some of them anyway.
Okay.
And they all have like the same fucking plot, and most of them don't survive, understandably, because they don't deserve to. But basically it's like it's always unpopular girl meets popular guy or odd guy, and they fall in love, and it's like they're just, I don't know, it's all the same. It's like Fruits Basket, but everything that came after Fruits, trying to like copy Fruits Baskets or whatever.
To be fair, is it not? Okay, well, it's not the same for reverse, but like to some extent, that kind of like self-insert thingy, where it's like an unpopular guy.
I'm not saying I'm not saying it doesn't exist.
Yeah, no. I know what you're saying. I think it's just like a common trope.
It's literally but it's like even worse in fucking what's it called, because they're like, here's the thing, right? In the guy harem type of thing or whatever, where they have all the beautiful girls, at least they have good designs. In all these shoujo manga, they all look the fucking same with the exact same art style. Every hot guy just has like the exact same look, and it's like, can we get some like creativity in here? Like, even the main characters don't usually look that like different. They're just all like they exist. They are manga of all time in like the most literal sense. So it's difficult to find like, decent romances, I feel, unless you stumble upon like Tonikaku. I saw the cover and I'm like, all right, looks cool, let's see, and I got hooked on it, and that was like, it was like 20 chapters in at the time. Now it's over 200. Same thing.
Like I failed to
Oh, he's dying.
You're Robocoping.
Optimus Prime, you gotta restart.
Okay, am I here now?
Yeah, you're fine.
I feel like with romance manga, whenever I get into them, I will like spend a good day where I read a good chunk and then really like it, and then I just never read it again. There's like one exception to this ever, which is Gigi Harem, which is like extremely short. It's 150 chapters, but they're like 5-page chapters.
I hate manga that are like 5 pages or whatever, unless there's like, unless they're in like bulk or whatever. But like, if I find something and it needs to be like another manga. It's the only manga I actually have any copies of right now. I'm gonna be ordering Tonikaku soon, but Kubo is the only manga I have right now on my shelf. Anime next season, and I found that at like 20 chapters or whatever, and I gave it to. It was read in the the Joey Cord Manga Club, and I spread the gospel.
I read it. I read a good amount of it.
Yeah, there was like 20 chapters at the time or whatever. There might have been 30 by the time we did it in Manga Club. But either way, I've been reading it since like relatively early on, and now it's well over 100. Getting its anime, and it was blessed with Kana Hanazawa as the main as Kubo, so it should do fine. If I feel like usually the I don't know if I call it like a tease isn't the right, maybe like early Kubo is like teasing or whatever. I
mean, it's like it's like isn't it just like reverse of like what you would expect to like the order of like the events and stuff like that. I don't know. I guess it's like teasing because like they start off with the marriage, right?
No. Hold, you were thinking of Tony.
No, dude,
I've moved on to Kubo. You're going insane. What are we doing here? No. I said Kubo. I said anime next season. You're on crack. You were high. Oh my god. I am high. Oh my god. This fucking guy. Anyway.
No, I'm not a guy.
Tonikaku is the marriage one. Kubo,
Tonikaku. Yeah. Sorry.
Kubo is like.
I've only read a little bit. I haven't read that much of it.
Kubo is like starts off kind of teasy, but then goes into just more basic romance stuff or whatever. It's just fluff, but I like fluff, and so
I think you just like the stickers. I think you like the stickers and the emotes.
I actually I helped make some of those because there was like
dude,
there were text bubbles in the way of some of them, and so I redrew.
Some of them look really bad.
Depends on which. The Kubo smile looks awful because it's just like her neck isn't there; it's just floating. But I redrew like part of the head for Kubo Pout 3, which is like really
3,
like,
the third one. Okay.
Well, we have 3 of them. All right. Fair
enough. Yeah, there is 3.
There's 3. Anyway, I don't claim anything that happened after that. Kubo Worth It and Kubo Smile, not part of my era of making the Kubo Poats, but
okay, you know what? I got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I like Kubo, and it'll probably succeed because all those things usually do. I don't know how well When While You Make His Move did. Probably not too great because it had a pretty like average anime, but hopefully Kubo's promotional videos have looked good, so hopefully it gets multiple seasons and helps the manga succeed.
Isn't it generally pretty popular as a manga?
I mean, it has physical volumes, which is about anything you could ask, like translated physical volumes. So that's a good step. It means it has an international audience that cares about it, and it's over chapter 100, which means it can't be that hated, surely. So yeah, I'd say it's at least like generally popular. We'll see what the anime does for it though. Because you never really know. Because like there'll be things that are like generally popular, but we don't know about them. Like Bocchi the Rock, I think actually has like awards and stuff for the manga. But it's like it's a goofy 4 coma, so it's like we don't know much about it until the anime comes out. And then we start hearing all about it.
I wonder like the difference, like what do you call it, like the manga that are like very popular in Japan versus the ones that are like they're not popular in the West but they're popular in Japan, and like vice versa. You know what I mean? I was always curious about that with respect to anime. I remember seeing, because like I remember seeing a list of like top 500 or not top 500, top 50 anime from like 2007 or something like that. And like some of the shows, like you wouldn't think of them as very popular here, but like apparently they have like a lot more popular in Japan. So that's what I'm curious, if they're like mangas with like that aren't very popular amongst like the Western anime community or anime/manga community, but like are actually really popular. I don't know.
I would think there's a lot of those, especially
I feel like
kind of the ones leeching off of like their, medias and stuff like that.
Yeah, and those might be more likely to get like anime adaptations, which is why like, like people like have some manga and it's like, I hope this gets an anime. Well, I don't know, not everybody's like that, but like maybe it's not actually that popular in Japan. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like, vice versa, right? So
there's some things like I think actually like Smartphone Isekai or whatever like got another season because it actually has like I don't know how the fuck it has an international audience, but like its novels are translated and it's like in the 20s or whatever, and so it gets enough like Western sales, I guess, to like warrant continuing it after X amount of time. But
it's
like,
just a fun anime.
What percentage of the sales are like? I don't know. It's just weird.
I have no idea. All I know is I'm pretty sure it got driven by that.
I feel like Smartphone Isekai also had like really good timing for being released as like an anime, because it wasn't like, obviously it wasn't the first random OPMC and Isekai moment.
Yeah.
But it was pretty early on, especially for the ones that are, to say how it is, kind of trash.
Yeah.
But also like fun trash. And it was kind of like one of the first ones of that mold. So I feel like it just, because it came out so much earlier than a lot of these other ones and did a generally decent job, it just got a lot more traction.
Yeah.
And nowadays we have like a million of those things. So like,
I guess like I feel like now anime has gotten to a point where it can just be made like without the need to like promote anything. Like you don't need to have anything on the side, because I don't think Devil's a Part-Timer would ever get season 2 and 3 in a different age where it still needs to promote sales and stuff. So obviously anime itself is profitable if you don't make something dog shit. Unfortunately, Devil's a Part-Timer did not get the good end of that stick, but like how ReZero like literally carries Kadokawa's fucking anime catalog because they lost a shit ton of money in one of their quarters as soon as ReZero sales weren't there because season 2 had been done, all their stuff had been whatever. They lose 40% of their sales. So obviously, like, a good anime, I think a lot of places are starting to realize this is like, if we can get quality adaptations out of these manga, then we can make good money. That's probably partially what happened with like Bocchi the Rock or whatever, because there's obviously a lot of like comedic potential there, and so they hand it off to a studio that has proven to like do decent work. Like Cloverworks, love them or hate them for what they did to some of the anime that they've touched. More recently, they've definitely done a good job like adapting things into and like enhancing the source material in some way.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a competition now with like getting like multiple manga / light novels being able to get a specific studio to adapt their anime, because studios can only do a certain amount at a time, right? So
yeah, I mean, there's probably definitely more. I think because some studios probably don't like pay attention to the publisher as much. Like, I think it just depends on how much money is being offered to them, probably. Because Wit Studio was making a bunch of stuff for Netflix or whatever. Because I think Wit is kind of like, they're not exactly having a grand time with like just adapting things. Like, let me look at Wit Studio real quick. Because like they've dropped a lot of the things that they had been adapting. Like they had Attack on Titan, but they're like, okay, the publisher's just taking all the money. Fuck this, we're done. Vinland Saga, I don't know exactly what happened with that, but they said, fuck this, whatever. Mappa, just keep taking our shit, please. But like, you don't see too much of like adapting from them. Like they do a lot of original stuff. And if they don't do something original, usually it's not like, they're not getting like a full anime workload out of it, usually. Like Spy Family, they did it in collaboration with Cloverworks. So, but really, realistically, let's say like they divided half the work. You know, it's half an anime you're making. They made an OVA for Girl from the Other Side, which is a manga. I could probably talk about it at some point. But they made a little 1 hour OVA for that. And they didn't even fund that shit. It was crowdfunded. So they didn't have to pay anything for that. At least for the most part. But then like they made Bubble. There's another Netflix thing they did. They made a little Pokemon shorts thing. They're definitely like more picky about what they're doing, but they do really good work. Apparently they're
which
making
probably part of them just like randomly dropping stuff is just them seemingly kind of trying to change the direction of what they're doing.
Yeah, they want to go more into originals because that's where the money is. Because you're not like, it's not getting divided as much, I suppose.
Yeah,
like they made Vivi in 2021. Trying to think of, I mean, Bubble's an original. I'm assuming this Vampire in the Garden thing for Netflix was also an original. Yeah, they're making there's a VTuber TV show. They're doing a collab for that, which is like, it's like the first ever VTuber, basically. They're making a movie out of her. That. Yeah, the Keys and I thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were doing it either. I just found out looking at their thing. They're doing it in collaboration with Signal MD, who has okay, they were part of Platinum End. That's a tough scene. At least they did Platinum End. I don't know if they did it in collaboration. Nope, they were on their own. Okay. Yeah, that's probably why they have Wit Studio with them to help carry the project. But yeah, wait, what the fuck? Okay, yeah, and then there's something that got announced a long time ago. They're like making an anime for Netflix about like the Grimm Tales. You know, like yeah, that got announced a while ago.
Yeah,
I don't know, it just hasn't been no timeline for it or anything. They have another movie called Moonrise. I don't know what the fuck that is, but if it's anything like Bubble, it'll probably be like really good looking, but it's trash. I don't know. I don't think. Yeah, they don't have like a script writer or anything on deck, so I don't know.
It's hard to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's
you mentioned
maybe it won't be a movie.
You mentioned like popularity internationally. The reason I asked like what percentage of it like matters like in terms of international versus like domestic success is like I'm wondering like if there are shows which had like do you think how much does international success, or like how much does it have to be?
It would probably need to be like a really good percentage, because you'll see like interviews from like Japanese studios that are like, oh, we have international fans. Like, what the fuck? Because they probably don't pay as much attention to the sales and stuff as like the executives do, for example. But you'll see those interviews and they'll be like, oh, so do like Western audiences like influence your thinking? They're like, no, we're just making it for the Japanese audience. Well, thank fuck, holy shit, fuck the Western audience. But yeah, thankfully they just do whatever the fuck they want. Not that everything that the Japanese do is perfect. Yeah.
Wow, really? What makes you think that?
Yeah, I mean,
gut feeling.
There's some things out there that my eyes have seen that I will never unsee.
Your eyes?
My eyes have laid. Yeah, they've been poisoned by. There'll be things that you see, and you're like, oh, that's a Japan moment right there, and then you got to move on with your life. Yeah, can never recommend some shows to people, even if they're good. That's just kind of the Japan way, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I don't know. It'd just be cool to see like just like a show that just gets more, just because like it's so popular internationally, even if like Japanese people just like don't care about it. It'd be cool, but that's never gonna. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is.
I can look at the sales by region. Oh, it's global smartphones, not smartphone manga. Never mind. I lied. I don't know.
Understandable. Let me think. Were there any other manga that you've seen that were an adaptation of some other media that you thought like did it really well?
No. Simply no.
Based.
I can't like.
Understandable.
I don't know if I've read anything that's like an adaptation of something else, like
other than like you said, light novels, which are like you didn't.
Which wasn't exactly like my thing or whatever. Because they'll be like, they just go too slow. Even if they have decent art or anything, it's just not enough to keep me going. Because you only get it every now and then or whatever. Yeah, it's tough. I guess one thing with manga that. There's like a bunch of different types of manga. We talked about 4-koma earlier, and obviously there's base manga. But I don't really dabble with one-shots, but have any of you read one-shots? Which are just like one-chapter stories.
Does it have to be PG?
Does it have to be PG? It can be whatever what have you seen? It's bad.
No evil laugh. I'm trying to think.
You a big Dojin guy?
No, I'm not. But I mean, they exist. All right, they exist. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. And I'm looking at the list of them, and I don't think I've read any of these. So no, that's my answer. No. Why? Did you have anything in mind, or like anything that you've read?
It's just the thing. It's usually retroactive for me. So like, if a one shot for something that already, like, if someone made a one shot and then it later became a manga or something, I will sometimes read that, because like I've read the Rui Dragon one shot.
Yeah, I read the Nisekoi one shot. It's like right at the start of the manga or whatever but my alternative manga viewing area, it had the one shot baked in there.
Surely Rui Dragon will come off of hiatus soon, Copium.
Yeah, a little bit of cope.
I don't recognize any of these, so I mean, it's like some random One Piece thing.
It released six chapters and went on hiatus for author health, which is like
not ideal.
Also, it's technically not canceled yet, Copium.
I mean,
not yet. That's like as copium as me saying like maybe the Somali author will get enough money to make his comeback. We talked about that before, but yeah, like the Somali and the Forest Spirit manga tragically got canceled from author health, but now he's healthy, but unfortunately the medical cost racked up, and so he doesn't have the money to restart.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Is the Log Horizon author still like in prison for fucking tax evasion or whatever yet?
I no clue.
I know, this is off topic. I just remember I used to read some of the Log Horizon stuff, and then it was like, yep, the author is in prison for like tax evading and stuff like that. I don't know if he's still writing or if he's literally in prison currently. We'll find out.
Clue. There are a few manga that have been shut from questionable author decisions. Act Age, the author dabbled in some nefarious deeds with people not his age.
Wait, is that happened like a couple years ago or last year or something like that? I feel like I've heard about
I don't remember how long ago it happened, but it was like
there's like one
recently.
Manga. Yeah. Yeah, this sounds so familiar. August 2020, that sounds about right, yeah. I feel like this is like a big story, but I just can't remember the exact details. But I feel like I've heard of this, yeah. Was it good? Was this manga like actually that good?
I think it was supposed to be pretty popular, but
okay, fair enough. I didn't know if it was actually good or like noteworthy because of the author.
It had 12 volumes, and it's not like a small amount or anything. So
for sure.
Yeah. RIP to that. If anyone liked that, I feel bad. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, that is a GG moment.
Wait, isn't there one manga that PK read where the person like died or something like that? Dude,
it's an anime.
It's an anime. Okay,
so I read some of it too, but yeah, it was Stigma of the Wind.
Stigma of the Wind.
Kaze no Stigma.
Okay. Kaze means wind.
And then that is like quote manga finished because the author died, and so it'll never get like finished. But
yeah,
that was like a series. I think it could have been something that I would have really liked and would have been pretty good, but it never. It was like just getting to the good stuff.
Yeah,
that's what I felt like.
It's definitely always unfortunate when that kind of stuff happens. There's really nothing you can do about it. Like Berserk recently had its author pass away, unfortunately, and it's like one of the biggest manga ever. I'll read it eventually. I don't know. I am pretty sure his like assistants are gonna finish it.
Yeah.
I think it's like planned for his like assistants to like take his notes and like finish it off or whatever, because I think he trained them. I can look it up, I guess.
It's the same thing with like One Piece. Like Oda obviously is still alive and hopefully will be alive for the end of One Piece. But if anything were to happen, he's already reportedly, taken precautions to make sure that One Piece is at least finished.
Okay, so it's like his close friend is gonna finish it for him. I assume that it was probably like planned for this to happen. Probably. I don't think they'd like continue it against his will or anything. But yeah, his friend and studio, his like assistants or whatever, will continue his manga at least for a little bit. I don't know if they're gonna like go on for a long time or if they're gonna be like, okay, this is how we can like best steer it towards its conclusion or whatever within a shorter amount of time, just so we can have it be done and let it rest.
I think the most popular manga, right? Is it?
It is. I don't know. One Piece is probably the biggest selling.
Okay. Yeah, sure, fair.
Yeah, One Piece is definitely the biggest, like most selling all time.
Fair
stuff, but like Berserk's up there because Berserk's also been around longer than One Piece.
1989, dude. What is this? It's insane.
I'm looking at the manga sales.
32
here.
32 years. 33 years.
Just going off the Wikipedia. Number 1 is One Piece. Two is Dragon Ball.
Okay.
Golgo 13. That's a children. It's a seinen. The fuck. I don't know what Golgo 13 is. I've never heard of it personally. Maybe I have. I don't know. Doraemon, which is a children's manga. I mean, it's done, but the anime isn't anyway, I don't think. Detective Conan, Naruto, Blackjack, which I don't think I've heard of. Slam Dunk, which is getting a movie, but it's going to be like an all CGI or something like that. Kochi Kame, I think I've seen the art for this at least before. Demon Slayer. Crown Shin-chan, which is I know I've seen the character before.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a children's thing though. Oshi or Oishinbo. I don't know exactly what that is. It's on a hiatus apparently since 2014. Bleach, JoJo's, Attack on Titan, Astro Boy, Fist of the North Star, Hajime no Ippo, Kendachi Case Files, and then Touch, which I've seen the art for, but I've never looked at it. Where the fuck is Berserk on here? I think Berserk is like one of those like things where it's up there, but it's like I think it has
having like a really popular anime.
It's one of them for sure. Which is like
it has an anime, and the anime is decent, and it made a lot of people read Berserk.
Well, there's also the 2016 anime, which was dog shit, and probably put a lot of people off of Berserk. It's also like one of those things where it's not as easy to get into as like a Demon Slayer or some shit like that, right? Like Demon Slayer, you could be like a 5-year-old and you can probably get into it. Berserk is obviously like very, very brutal and like dark storytelling. It's a dark fantasy, so it's like it's one of those things where it's the fact that it's up there with how like specific of an audience it's like looking for is pretty impressive.
His list is funny. It counts major as ongoing, which is like technically true, sure. But also, like, the current content in the major manga is the second, like, his son playing baseball and shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's essentially a new series. It's like the
Boruto moment. Where is Boruto on here? I can't imagine Boruto's like too high in sales in comparison to other things.
It shouldn't be.
It's not even on here.
To be on this list, it's an astronomical amount of sales.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot about longevity too, right? Though.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, though.
Like a lot of the stuff really high up here is stuff that has either been out for a long time
or exploded lately.
Sure.
Yeah, like Jujutsu Kaisen and Tokyo Revengers are on here. Like Chainsaw Man's climbing up as well, and it has like half as many chapters as those two. It's just definitely a lot of things on here that are a lot older. But then some of the more popular, like recent blow-ups, for sure as well. I see Magical Index on here, which is a little goofy because it's a light novel. But I guess its manga had a decent adaptation.
It's funny to see things on here that say on hiatus, and it's like since 2009.
Yeah,
bro,
on hiatus. It'll come back.
Copium.
It hasn't been canceled. It hasn't been canceled yet.
Trust me, bro.
It's a little copium. Yeah, it's how it be sometimes, I guess. Until it's canceled, it's not done. They don't want to give any misinformation, right?
Yeah. Of course. Well, what's the worst that could happen? Oh, I mean, I shouldn't say what's the worst that could happen.
If you get canceled.
You didn't cancel, and then you come back, and everybody's like, "Whoa, that's insane!" I'm so happy. You know what I mean?
Part of the problem too is like once you cancel something,
it's like I'm sure the comeback process is probably infinitely more difficult. Yeah.
I guess, but like, if you're on hiatus for that long, is it really that much easier? I don't know. Maybe.
I'm sure it's easier in like the back end of things to get set back up instead of like, oh yeah, you got canceled. We're gonna have to. You're like, wait, especially because in like Japan they like take like 20 million years to do things. So it's like if you got to go through the paperwork, you're gonna be sitting there for like 20 years.
Oh, makes sense. Makes sense. It's more of a administrative thing or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But being on hiatus since 2009 that's just cringe, bro. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's not real. That's not real.
Yeah,
that's my problem. Is that it's like definitively not real. Like that's 13
it's
years.
cool.
Yeah, it ain't coming back. Even if it did come back, like where's the audience at, right?
Yeah,
mod check.
I feel bad for like for stuff like that, but also like the really long running manga. Like if you're like a fan of that, but you just fucking die and you never get to see the end of it because Oda decided to do another 5 years of One Piece.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of stories that like, especially because it's like the opposite end of like the author thing. Like rather than it got ended short because of a tragic like author situation. Like plenty of fans of things don't get to see the end, just because like it takes so fucking long for some of these.
Story too, because like you bring up One Piece.
That's like that's not like the average or whatever.
Yeah.
Typically.
Like, One Piece is a story that's like you know, it needs to be completed. It needs that time to do stuff. But then there's stuff like this is one I hear a lot about Horimiya manga, where it's like there's a really good part of the Horimiya manga, and then it just like goes off a cliff for a little bit.
Yeah, the Horimiya manga, it was like the anime made the right choice of just like skipping to the end because nothing like in the middle is probably worth adapting. It stopped doing what made itself popular, right? But it was already like generally popular, so it just kind of limped along until it finally the author was like, where am I going with this? I'm just gonna end, and then they did. Yeah, it was definitely unfortunate because I like the manga, but then they're like, let's just make all these characters not do anything now. It went from like a drama romance, like character based narrative type of thing where it focused on side characters and their intricacies and kind of basically like the idea of youth or whatever. Everyone has their own problems and how they go through that. And it had some interesting characters, and they didn't do anything with them. They like got to a point where they just didn't want to, I guess, go through with that kind of commitment, I guess, of going through all these character arcs and concluding them in a proper way. It would have been a lot, but it would have been worth. You just skipped the slice of life shit. And they went on for long enough to where they could have done it. I guess I don't know. I think they started to do something and it didn't catch on, and the series just kind of stopped. It was very unfortunate. It definitely ruined Hori's character for me because she used to be like one of my favorites, but then like the manga was like,
that's the other thing I've heard of.
She's a masochist now, and I'm like, what the fuck? And that's like her whole character at some point, and I'm like, you know, you know what? She wasn't number one by too much, so she can be removed from the best girl position of this show or series. It was very, very unfortunate way things happened there. Yeah, it's a little goofy. But yeah, I mean, I don't think I have anything else to say.
I'm trying to think.
I mean, I have like series that I like a lot, but these all like, you know, shonen series and sports series and stuff. I talk about them all the time. And I mean, to remind you guys that like if you like soccer, read Awashi because it's really good.
That's your favorite. That's your favorite.
I say it every
big Awashi guy.
It's probably in my top 5 manga.
Can all recommend a manga right now?
Okay.
To finish this off.
Okay.
BK had his Awashi. What do you got for us? Spatula. What?
Well, I already said Velvet Kiss, but that's kind of troll. But it's not actually that troll.
It's a little bit of a troll.
If you like Yuri, like romance, then read Bloom Into You. I guess was my first. I have like a sentimental attachment to it. Yeah. It's romance. Yeah, if you like that stuff.
I'll try and get a little goofy, a little out there with mine, I guess. It's called Sachihiro no One Room. English version is One Room of Happiness. Basically, it's about not Stockholm syndrome, but like this girl is like being abused at home or whatever, and so she runs away, and this dude is like, "All right, I'm gonna kidnap you," and she's like, "All right." He's like, "Wait, what?" He's like, "Yeah." And so they kind of like discover more about themselves together. It doesn't update often. It says end date December 2022, so I think maybe we'll get the last volume. It is like in the end game, so maybe we get the last volume is going to release this month, maybe. But it's basically at its end. It's going to be like over 60 chapters by the time it's done. Most of them, it was a monthly, I believe. Let's see. I can look at the start date for it. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe it wasn't a monthly. It started back in 2016. It was probably, it was monthly. It's not like great or anything, but I think it's like an interesting little story that's like entertaining enough to read. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Unless anyone else wants to add anything, now is your time.
No. I already gave my recommendation.
Yeah,
I think if I talk about Velvet Kiss, it'll overlap into the hentai episode, and I have to save content for that.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time for the hentai episode 69, baby.
Soon, it's on hiatus.
It's not on hiatus. We just haven't done anything. All right. Well,
Fair.
Unlike the Rent a Girlfriend manga, this is the end here of this episode. If you enjoyed it, you should subscribe or follow, depending on whatever platform you're on. If you're on YouTube, is the Order an Anime Podcast.com or .com? God, is the Order an Anime Podcast on YouTube.com? You should go ahead and subscribe there. If you're on the audio only side of things, or you would like to go there, you can go to our Anchor in the description below. It'll show the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., all the stuff that we're on for audio only. Yeah, basically that's it. Every Saturday, 3 p.m. EST, we will have a ye old episode up for you. That has been the manga episode, and we will see you all next time with whatever topic that we decide on at the last moment once again. Goodbye.